So it said narcissists are trapped by their own stupidity. Wonder how that works and how that goes. I ended up falling for a chick that has a few issues, and you know what? I think those issues are what makes her special. And they make her pretty, and they make her beautiful, and they make her even more beautiful in my eyes. And there's Kathy. And I'm kind of wondering if I'm missing the boat completely, entirely, and utterly on all this, because when I was in Victoria a long time ago, and people knew I was going to go to Victoria after Nanaimo that time, and I thought about Kathy a lot. When I came back to Penticton, which is the first place I went to, I came back for her. And I don't think I handled it properly. It wasn't for the reasons that she thought, but I didn't handle it properly, and I know that. And I believe in loyalty. And I believe in sticking by who you came to the dance with and then leaving the dance with that person. And there's no guilt here. See, but there is too, because I did have feelings for Kathy, and I do, and I guessed her the other night, and I have feelings for all three of them. And I'm not sure exactly why that is, but I am and I'm not. A lot of it has to do with a bonding experience and going through a lot of shit with these people, metaphorically kind of thing, and spiritually, and keeping them in the forefront of my brain, right? And always, relying on those memories and everything else. And I guess that I was supposed to go back there at some point, and I didn't. And I thought I was going to get my life started over again, and I thought this was going to be easy peasy lemon squeezy, and it wasn't. As per usual, I haven't been through enough, so I have to go through a bit more. But that's nobody's fault really, and I shouldn't be making excuses and sitting here. However, it hurts me to think that she thinks I'm out for revenge or something. It hurts me to think that I could hurt either one of those ladies because I couldn't. And I think the wires got crossed here. And I think they got told some misinformation and they went with that based on the source. I know my word doesn't carry nearly as much weight as it used to, and now I'm stuck with proving myself. And I'm not sure exactly what to say here, but this whole thing I think got started off wrong. But it didn't, because I think this whole thing got started off with people being under the misconception that I was not a decent human being, and they acted accordingly, according to them. And I also think that Kathy, for the most part, I haven't heard high nor hair from her in ages. And I was told when this all started that she wasn't the one that was talking, speaking, or seeing anything. But then I neglect to remember that, I've had my guardian angels on my shoulder for an extended period of time. And these ladies have been there for a while now, and I know it hasn't just been Selena that's been there, and I know that they have been watching over me and making sure I'm okay. And I know that if it wasn't for them when I was in Kelowna 5-6 months ago, I wouldn't be eating, and things would be a whole fuck of a lot worse. And I probably got to stay in the back of a fucking truck for longer than I needed to or should have, because they were kind of like little angels on my shoulder, quite literally. But I appreciate her, and I appreciate the other two as well. And I did have feelings for Kathy, and to be honest, I still do. But see, the thing is the fact that what really kind of got me to back away was when the guy said that I was going to psychoanalyze her and trap her into a relationship. I'm pretty good at sizing somebody up pretty fast. I never ever would have done that because at the time of me entering Compass House for the second time, I had a lot of preconceived notions as to what a narcissist was or a sociopath or whatever, and basically I had never met one that was a decent human being. The ones that I met were fucking shit. And I hated the ones that I had met because they gave me a glimpse into who I might be or who I was or whatever, and I did not want to be anything that I wanted nothing to do with any of them. In fact, if one confronted me, I was downright fucking hostile to the point where it actually came to piss a couple times while I was running around. And I think each one of these women represent a different side of me, and to a certain degree, and I think that when it comes to Kathy, I think that there's a chance that she represents the more human and the more decent and civilized side of me, and the more grown up and the more nice guy, and the one that's not looking to go out with a Born to Lose tattoo on his shoulder and fuck shit up. And honestly, I think that that is the way that I should have been. I don't know. Like I said, this whole thing has been fucking confusing from the word go. I thought it was Desiree first, and I thought it was her, and then I fucking didn't know that I had feelings for fucking Selena, and now this is appearing right in front of me, and I don't know what to say. I honestly don't know what to say. When someone's not who you think that they are, or who they say that they are, the question then becomes, are you in love with an idea of who she is? The answer to that question is no. 1,000 times no. I am in love with her. I appreciate who she is, all her faults, all her attributes, all her strengths, all her weaknesses. And I haven't, like, the only thing I've done here is said that I will help her out the best fucking way that I can. And I want her to be happy, and I want her to be back rolling and kicking around. But the question then becomes, I mean, this isn't the fucking dating game, right? This is not a question of who's going to be a better match for me. This is a question of which person will I end up with, and we're both mutually happy, possibly, I guess, in a situation where we can both be at peace with. And I think that Selena is a little bit worried that I'm still pissed off and just won't tell her about it. The fact that things at the start of this whole thing were not handled properly. And they were not handled properly because people got told that I was somebody that I wasn't, and they went with that. And I know for a fact that Kathy is who she is, and I respect her greatly. And I do, and I think the world of her, and I would never do anything to disrespect her or hurt her. And like I said, this has a lot to do with which woman I will end up with that is a mutual, like, where both parties are happy. And I told Selena, I said, look, I said, I don't want you to be miserable. I want you to be happy. That's what happens when you're with someone and you love them. You want them to be happy. And I want her to be happy, and I want to be happy, and I want us both to be happy in this situation. And this is going to be starting something from the fucking ground up. And it's hard because I saw what she was putting up there in the sense that she's trying to tell Kathy what to say and things to that nature. And I get that I get that this was about getting to know me. I get that I am not the person that is, like, easiest to get to know. But Selena was a soft spot for me. And if you asked me 4 or 5 years ago, even if I'd get this close, the answer to that question was absolutely not. There's no fucking way that I would ever get this close, because there's no way she would even entertain this idea. And it's not something where I'm looking at, like, oh my God, this is the myth of Cleopatra or something like this. I'm not under any delusion where that is concerned. Okay, this is her. This is me. This is us. And you know what? I never claimed to be Al Capone, man. I never fucking claimed to be Don Corleone. I never claimed to be fucking 50 Cent or G Unit or any one of those or Lil Wayne or whatever the fuck ever, and for somebody to fucking open up wide to lick my lollipop. I adapted it, did the best I could, given the circumstances, and you ladies know what my circumstances were and are. And I never claimed to be or Al Capone or whoever. I just claimed to be a guy that adapted to his situation and set of circumstances, wrapped up some trauma that he had incurred, put it in his lunch pail, and fucking went to work. That was it. And yes, I've stolen from stores, and yes, I've committed check fraud, and yes, I fucking lied to phone companies to get phones. And that's pretty much the extent of what I've done. If I think of anything else, I'll let you know. But apparently, according to one of these posts, you ladies were told that apparently I was not as bad as everybody thought, and maybe I wasn't the Antichrist. But she's trying to help me because she doesn't think that I can make it roughing it anymore. And in hindsight, she could be correct. Because all my armor has been stripped away. And I told people the minute I set off on this little journey 10 years ago that I needed to be tougher. And so I became tougher. And I became a fuck of a lot smarter too. But I became tougher, I became meaner, I became jaded, I became a bigger asshole, and, I had people along the way that, helped me out with that in spades. And, I remember you ladies now. You were the ones that way back in the day when I was, trying to beak off as to what was going on and making no sense whatsoever, you came to the conclusion that I might have been traumatized. Well, congratulations, you were 100% correct. And I love that girl, and I do, and I know that that's probably not the way this was supposed to go or anything to that nature, or perhaps maybe I'm fucking screwed in the head. I don't get it. I don't know. But the one thing I do know is this. No matter what, I'm going to get this up and running. I've got that job going. I've got everything else happening. And if this is the path that I'm not meant to go down, this whole thing was probably not an act in redundancy, but a carefully laid too many gears kind of plan that probably could have been avoided had somebody just wished to sit down with me, and I could have just opened up and maybe we could have had a cup of coffee or two, and over time I would have just opened up and told you guys pretty much anything you wanted to know. But I'm mysterious for a reason, because people have pounded my boundaries and taken information that I've given them and used it to fuck me over. And I know that sounds like the most paranoid, weirdest thing ever, but it's the absolute truth. And people have taken my trust and fucking thrown it in the toilet and flushed. And the people that were closest to me betrayed me and basically left me for dead. So that can make a person not trust other people so easily. And when I trust somebody and when I tell them something, it's very important to me. And I hold that person in high regard until they give me a fucking excuse not to. But it's hard for me to trust people. It's hard for me to trust anybody. And I think the biggest not so smart thing that I did was fucking let go of a lot of very vulnerable, very, very personal shit right here on YouTube. But you know what? I don't want to hurt anybody. And I do have options, apparently. What I want is to find a mutually beneficial situation to which both me and that woman are happy. And that everything is good and everything is well and we live happily ever after and things are great. And you know what? To a big extent, I feel the most comfortable around you three ladies. And I know that might sound stupid or weird, or maybe I'm going to garner some laughter when I get back on there or what, but I feel the most comfortable out of you three, around you three ladies. One in particular, and that's the one that I'm currently kind of involved with. And you know what? I'm trapped by my own stupidity. No, I'm not trapped by my own stupidity. This wasn't my game to begin with. Somebody else had set this up and put both of us at the forefront of this, not being able to figure out, or maybe they had figured out that there were feelings between me and her, and not recognizing that I would have done anything to hold on to those and to hold on to her. But I never thought that this would be even remotely feasible, possible, or even nothing more than a work of fucking fiction. If you'd have told me that before all this started. And you know, I know this is probably not the best thing to be saying right now, but I miss her. I missed her, I should say. I thought about her when I was down and out, when I was hurting, when I couldn't make it up the steps in Kamloops, when I literally had to limp and crawl over the bank machine in order to pick up some fucking cash so I could get the fuck out of there as quickly as possible. And you know what? That was one of the hardest fucking days of my life, but the one thing that kept me going was her. And I know that sounds just shitty. And I know that's not what people want to hear. And I know that it's horrible, but you got to remember something. Nietzsche said it best. Those who have a why can outlive any how. And if you don't actually recognize what that means, I'll tell you. But those who have a why can outlive any how. And little did I know, but as things progressed and as we began to talk, she was my why. And then I get all these people asking and saying, she's got all these issues. You wouldn't date these kind of issues before. You wouldn't dare do that. You wouldn't. It's not just the issues, it's her. I'm willing to make all these acceptances and all these allowances just because it's her, and that's it. And, you know, if things had been differently, I probably would have started something up with Kathy when I was in Penticton this last time, but I got kicked out unceremoniously. I had to deal with some fucking dog dick security guard owner that now I really would like to go and beat the fucking crap right out of. And the one constant piece of happiness and the one constant piece that kept me going was Selena. And there were some really fucking miserable moments. But I got up and I kept moving. And I'm doing this now because she helped me. Therefore, I will help her. But this past 10 years has not been the easiest on me, and I think I'm doing pretty well for somebody that's been through a whole lot of shit. And like I said, you guys had heard through various and sundry women, and oh, by the way, if I was you, I would not trust a woman who had been particularly jaded by a breakup between her and I for any useful information on my character. But then again, that's just me. But the story I get is not exactly similar to the story that various other and sundry people get. However, here's the thing that you gotta remember. My loyalty lies with the woman that, and you know, I'm not trapped by any stupidity. In fact, that's not even remotely true. I'm not trapped by anything at all. I go where I want and I do what I choose in all things. And the one thing that you got to remember is I choose to try to make this work with her. I'm coming up tomorrow or Tuesday to try to make this work with her. And you don't just run because things are tough. When you're starting over, things are tough. Things are always tough. But if this is not the correct avenue, if somebody's got some sort of other idea, if this was not the way that this was supposed to go, then somebody needs to enlighten me as to the way that this was supposed to go. And as I said, I've got feelings for all three of you women, and for some strange reason, I am more comfortable with Selena, Desiree, and Kathy more than I've ever been over the past 10 years anyway with any member of the female species going to date. And I know it's really odd to say that because we haven't exactly spent a whole lot of time together in the past little while, to say the very least, but I am more comfortable with all three of you women more than I am with any other fucking female that I have come across in the past 10 years. And yes, there are feelings there for all three, and yes, given the right set of circumstances, I could probably start something up with all three of them. Although Desiree might have something to say about that, because more often than not, the thing that I get whenever I'm around her presence or in an extremely close proximity is a dirty look, but I think that's more cover for the fact that she's got a soft spot for me, and she fucking hates that. Because there are things that I say that are not only inflammatory, but she does not approve of or appreciate in the least. And she does not like certain things that come out of my mouth either. So give it about a week if her and I were together, and I do imagine I'd be probably getting the cast iron frying pan over the side of the face. But it's like this, folks. Although I could start something with all three of them, and I mean that, all three of them, and I'm going to change that statement and say all three of them. The one that I'm currently in something with at this particular point in time is her. And she's the one thing that kept me going. And I know that sounds really maybe frivolous or untrue or over-exaggerated to certain people, and I really could give a rat's ass what you think, but that was the one memory that kept me going, and I think I touched on that with you before, darling. And that was something that was very hard for me, whether I was on a bus, whether I was laying in some dickhole bed in a fucking Salvation Army homeless shelter or something. It was not something that I would... The one thing that kept me going was your memory. And I should have come back sooner, and I could have come back sooner, and I probably could have fucking made sure that some of this didn't happen for you, but unfortunately for me, I failed to fucking get back here because I just didn't think it was feasible. And any idea that I had in my head of starting something with you was, you know, age difference and everything else notwithstanding, it just, I thought there was too many fucking obstacles or logical no's rather than one really sort of hefty yes. But, like I said, I could start some with all three of them. But there's one that stands head and shoulders above the rest, and there's one that I'm willing to forgive. There's one where I'd be willing to just look past a lot of shit, not because I'm doing something sort of noble in this sense, but doing it because she's worth it. And that's the point that I'd like to convey, is the fact that she's worth it. And I know that sounds really fucking stupid, but she's worth every penny of it. And maybe that makes me the biggest asshole on God's green and verdant earth. But for me, she's worth it. And I know that I'm not gangster, man. I'm not 50 Cent. I ain't Snoop Dogg. I'm not Death Row Records. I'm not fucking Suge Knight. I'm fucking Vanilla Ice in spades. Well, not exactly Vanilla Ice. I'd put myself more along the lines of Everlast, I think. Because with all this stuff, the one thing that kept me going was I have a specific set of certain skill set that I had while I was a security guard, certain skill set that I had growing up that I was able to transfer into my career as a homeless man. And that continued for an extended period of time. And along with various and sundry people, because they were not all bad, and people that actually helped me out and chose to sort of take an interest in what I was doing. But through all that, basically, I did the best I could with what I had. And I adapted to the situation and learned to make a few sacrifices and learned to, cut a few corners, and quite frankly, learned every once in a while to break the law. Because that's what I had to do. Otherwise, I wasn't going to eat. So, yes, I did break the law. Oh, fuck, you better believe I did. And I didn't do anything serious. I did get into fights, but I didn't, go looking for it or hurt people for money. I just hurt people that tried to hurt me first. But I am loyal, and if this was supposed to end in a different way, and I'm not aware, because I have the feeling that it did, or it was supposed to. And maybe she is trying to help me by getting me into a better, more stable situation quickly so that I'm not fucked and something doesn't happen to my health or something like that, because as she said, she was trying to help me the other night. But it doesn't work that way, and she doesn't have to. But the thing is the fact that if this was supposed to end in a different way, if this was supposed to end in a different fashion, if this was supposed to end with me with somebody else and in a better way of doing things and a more stable and productive way of doing things, then by all means, feel free, do tell. But I'm just not sure that this didn't end the way it should have ended and the way it was supposed to end, because maybe somebody didn't have all the information, or somebody wasn't counting on the things that were going to occur. I'm not quite sure. And I'm not a bad guy, folks, and I don't want to hurt anybody here. But like I said, I could start something with each and every one of you, but the one that sets apart from the other two is Selena. And that is, I guess a lot of that has to do with the fact that I associate her with positivity to a certain extent, because when I was at Compass and things turned sideways and everybody was doing the whole, truth serum, we're going to tell them exactly what we think of them kind of thing, and things kind of went downhill from there. She wasn't involved in that. And I never ever associated her with negativity or hurt or anything like that. She was always sort of a source of inspiration, I guess. And it's sort of, maybe if you can get back to Penticton, you might be able to see her and have a coffee with her, or sit down and man the fuck up and maybe take a chance and tell her how you feel. And I know that, it sounds really stupid, but to me it just wasn't going to happen. So when I found out that this was actually going to, we were going to talk and things might occur, I fucking just about had a heart attack. Because it was like, no way is this going to happen, no fucking way. And, it could very well be that she's helping me because she thinks that perhaps I need to go to the straight and narrow path. And that's not a path that she's on at this particular point in time. And maybe Kathy talked to her, and maybe she's trying to show me that she does care by getting me out of this way of life. And I can tough it out a bit longer if you can, darling. But, like I said, I got that job this week, and away we go. So